Garrison Price for Thursday, February the 5th, 2026, a presentation of Bet365. We're coming to you from the mobile studios, normally at the historic Wall Center. Blake Price with Jeff Patterson alongside for one last day, and the four-time Geno Award winner, Mike Rogerson. He is back at the Wall Center, hitting switches and conducting things, and we thank him for that. Jeff Patterson, we have made it. The Olympic break is finally here. We don't have to watch the Canucks for a couple of more weeks. Man, did we need all of this. What?
Yeah, we can leave the first 57 games behind. There are 25 to go, but not for a couple of weeks. So can turn our attention to the highest level of hockey that we've seen in forever. And it's going to look so different than the product that we have been forced to watch and digest on a regular basis. And I know you were there in Vegas last night. You saw it firsthand. It's unbelievable. I mean, that third period last night looked like they started their Olympic break at the end of the second. And they got the goal late in the second period, made it a one-goal game. Didn't look like they had any interest whatsoever in pushing it any further. Got what they deserved in the end. And so the Mums didn't see much out on their two-game road trip following their sons. And they limp into the Olympic break as they have limped all season long.
I'm down here for WickFest. Haley Wick and I was down here doing clinics, and my daughter's playing in this tournament. And there's a lot of CanCon in the maybe the best game was by a Cranbrook U10 team that played into. They actually brought a Cranbrook team in to play the Mighty Knights game, is what they call it, in between periods. Very competitive. They just split the Cranbrook team in two, and they entertained the masses down here playing in front of a sold-out crowd. So that was maybe the best hockey we saw from a Canadian side all night long. The Cranbrook Bucks minor hockey. Congratulations to them. But it dovetails nicely into our Yellow Dog poll question brought to you by Yellow Dog Brewing, Yellow Dog Spirits, Neighborhood Brewing, and Foolish Wine. Because one guy separated himself on and off the ice last night, and it was Teddy Blueger. Traded or not, Jeff, should the Canucks sign Teddy Blueger in the offseason? This after another 2-point effort from the Latvian Olympic Center. He is by far the best Canuck player right now for the Canucks. And being true from we can't stop playing when things aren't going our way. I think we've got to find some character in our group. Just find probably some more respect for each other, some appreciation to be in this league. End quote. Your thoughts and your vote here on the poll question. Should the Canucks bringing him when they?
Well, look, I've got all the time in the world for Teddy Blueger, and I appreciate those comments, and he's not wrong. I'd love to hear those from guys that are wearing letters in that locker room, guys that have been here a lot longer than Teddy Blueger. I'd like to hear that from the coaching staff, management, right up the food chain. And so Teddy Blueger is calling it as it is. The problem is he's done this so many times now, and this isn't a knock on him, but he keeps seeing it. Nothing's changing. The other day it was all about what winning teams do, and was basically saying, we don't do any of those things, but this is what winning teams do. This was a little deeper last night, though, to call out the character. Didn't name names, but I think we can probably figure it out pretty clearly ourselves. And you're right, he's backing it up with his performance on the ice. 2 more assists last night, in on all the goals that the Canucks scored on this quick 2-game road trip. He's a 7-point guy in his last 7 games. He's boosted his trade stock, and yet he is the kind of player that you'd think, with a conscience, you'd like to have. I mean, we've heard management talk about having these quality veterans to help shepherd the young guys. Problem is, most of those quality veterans that the management's talking about are the guys on the long-term contracts that aren't doing anything for this hockey club right now. And Teddy Blueger, on a nightly basis, stepping up performing on the ice. And so he has the currency where, his word should carry some weight. You hope that they do. We'll see. Ultimately, they don't play again. He does because he's going to be an Olympian, but the rest of the group will reassemble in a couple of weeks. So good on him. I say, keep calling him out. At some point, others are going to they're going to get asked about his comments. They're going to have to respond to his comments. And you do wonder, is he challenging some of these guys internally behind closed doors? Because at the end of the day, the performance again last night, as it was in Utah and against San Jose last week, unacceptable. It's fine if you're competing and you're close to these hockey games, but when you basically have 1 foot out the door, these games get away in a hurry, and we saw that last night at T-Mobile.
And people might think it's extra bold from a guy with a $1.8 million cap hit, but when it's so abundantly clear, when he's got the bottom line, if anybody would say, who are you? Look at him. He's by far the best player right now. This is the kind of leadership that sticks around in a rebuild too. I'm not advocating for him not to be traded. I'm just saying, I don't know how the Canucks don't go back asking for him again in the offseason, because this is great stuff here. And it's more than, as you said, the veterans with term, that this management seems so cautious to let go. It's more than what they've been saying up to this point. Adam Foote had thoughts on the performance on the ice. Let's hear what he had to say about Blueger's line.
Yeah, I mean, they're a nice line. They're working well together. They're gelling. They're working for each other. I mean, Bluegs played with Garley for a long time, and I think they're Liam's a smart player, but I also think they're working with him, and it seems like they have got some chemistry for sure.
It doesn't happen often in hockey. You get a sense that Teddy Blueger is not exactly enamored with what he's seeing here. He gets a big say in this as an unrestricted free agent.
That's right. Yeah.
And over 30, he's been there with Vegas. He won a cup, but does he want to be a bigger piece of a cup contender at this stage of his career? So as much as I admire Teddy Blueger for having the courage of his conviction to speak out after these losses, I just wonder if, like others, they see the mess that is here and just think there's got to be a better place for me if I am signing a contract with term here in the offseason.
There is a risk to this performance here and his comments, Jeff, that they re-sign him now and say he's too good and too valuable to let go. I saw that in the comments a lot, that people are worried this means he's being re-signed now.
Right. And what would it take to re-sign him, given what we just said? An overpayment, probably.
Right.
And they've got enough of those on the books. They've said rebuild. They really haven't signaled an awful lot in the way of a rebuild yet. But that would be a very Canuck thing to do, to offer Teddy Blueger, a deal that he figures he can't refuse at this stage. And again, if they keep Teddy Blueger in the fold, by no means the worst thing possible, but the best thing for this organization is trading all these pieces, Blueger included, and then, worry about the summer when the summer gets here. But yeah, I mean, I think people would lose their mind if the Canucks came to that conclusion that 31-year-old Teddy Blueger on a nice hot streak is just so valuable to this group that they can't trade him, that they have to keep him in the fold.
It should be mentioned how well Ogrren is producing again here, Jeff. There could be something here. 9 points in 27 games. Now, that's not all world, but he's still officially a rookie here this season. He's a decent story here as well. I don't know that the ceiling is extraordinarily high for this player, but he's tracking as well as you could expect him to track, given where he was when he was acquired by the Wild, from the Wild.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice primary assist on DPD's goal last night. Nice goal in Utah the other night. He does seem to have found a nice fit on that line. He's not flashy. He's just a guy that uses the gifts that he's got. His skating is undeniable. We've seen that for a big guy. He gets up and down the ice nicely. I think when he starts to learn to use his body effectively to separate guys from the puck and those types of things, that he's only going to progress. But right now, in this forest of darkness that has been this Vancouver Canucks season, he does. He stands alone. I mean, there's a bit of a beacon of light there because the effort's there on a nightly basis. There seems to be a fair bit of consistency to his game. He's taking the instruction that he's getting from the coaches and some of the other veteran guys, and he's applying it, and it's paying off for him. So we're seeing him getting a reasonable run in terms of ice time. I think he was up over 17 minutes last night in Vegas, as he should be. That was so easily their best line that, of course, like, those guys deserve to play. So I was glad to see him rewarded in that sense. And yeah, I just want to see, these final 25 games. They don't mean much in the grand scheme to the hockey club, but to an individual like Liam Ogrren, you just want to see progression. So, who he's playing with after trades go down, we don't know the answers to that just yet. They're so weak at center ice. That's my concern, is that he's not going to have a legitimate NHL center to play with, but cross that bridge when we get to it. Whatever the fact, I like the fact that this guy has shown up and competed even through the losing. He doesn't seem to be, if it's getting to him, he's not letting it show in his performance on the ice.
Our poll question available on Twitter and on YouTube. Please cast your votes. All brought to you by Yellow Dog Brewing. The Amigos Black Dark Lager, the darker side of good times from Neighborhood Brewing. Dark Lager bringing a touch more attitude with the rich malt depth, just the right amount of smoothness to keep things easy drinking. Same spirit, just a new vibe, a beer for friends, made by friends at Yellow Dog and Neighborhood Brewing. We'll get back to the Canucks game last night in just a second. We do have a top story, though, that usurps yet another Canucks loss. Our top story brought to you by Pacific Blue Cross. As the Whitecaps walk it back a little bit, they appear to have their deal for 2026. And yes, Jeff, alas, it is just for 2026 only, leaving plenty of room to panic with their deal at BC Place. But in immediate availability from Spain today, CEO Axel Schuster saying they had never said no to BC Place, but had lines crossed there in communication with the public about where they're at. They are hammering out the fine details of the deal, but clarified further that they are $40 million Canadian behind where they should be, which it would take them to like the middle of the pack in Major League Soccer. And they're calling for new streams of revenue to try to close that gap considerably, whether that is naming rights or anything else, to get the money flowing and to allow them to stay long-term in Vancouver. Here's Axel Schuster.
Great to get that. Please don't get anything what I'm saying in the wrong way, that we don't respect or don't.
Oh, lost the
video
clip
seized
there.
Up there.
Yeah, it's okay.
And it has to come
here
from
it
other sources. We have also this. We need more support from the corporate business in British Columbia. We need more support from the big companies in British Columbia and in Vancouver. The World Cup is coming. Everyone celebrates that. We are a huge, important asset to this community. We are a community club. You know how much we do in the communities, how much we do with kids in our communities, how many kids are playing, and how many kids are playing also for free with our badge. Mini pitches we build in underserved communities. So it's time to stand up also from the business community and to say this is something good for British Columbia, and that is another stream. If we speak about naming rights, yes, we had these discussions and we are committed and we will continue. And we spoke with PAFCO and BC Place that we want to continue to have conversations about the next lease, because this lease that we are now agreeing on is only for 2026. So we want to negotiate and discuss what can be a long-term solution. How can a long-term lease look like? And
so, I get that. I mean, we have not been in a booming economy here for the last handful of years, Jeff, and I'm sure that there's a lot of businesses that would love to see corporate sponsorship up a notch, but it could be pie in the sky stuff. I don't know that there's any predictions that the economy is going to start to boom, where all of a sudden the money just starts to flow and they're going to get necessarily the numbers that the Whitecaps believe they're due.
Yeah, I mean, look, a $40 million shortfall, that's a massive gap that you have to bridge. And even if you turn to the corporate community and say, hey, step up or we're leaving, you're going to find 40 companies that are going to be willing to write $1 million check a piece. I doubt it. And so when he talks about revenue streams, we talked a little bit about that on the program yesterday. How much of that can be off the back of ticket buyers. I'm sure they've already done their ticket pricing and structure for this coming season. Like, you can't go back to your fans and say, hey, we're going to charge you an extra 10 or 20 bucks on every ticket. Like, that doesn't work. You just can't. That's not feasible. And so when I heard that number, like, that's a frightening number to me. And so I have no doubt. Like, I believe Axel Schuster. I have faith in Axel Schuster to find solutions. I think he's more on the football side of things as much as he oversees the, like, we never hear from ownership. I guess I've given up any hope that, and then the idea that now this group's for sale, and we've already heard that nobody wanted to go too far down that path, given all of this uncertainty. So, I mean, if there are some from the outside that still think, oh, this is just negotiation or whatever, I think we are so far past that point now. It sounds pretty damn dire to me, and that's really unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, we do hear from ownership. I mean, more than the Canucks at the very least. Jeff Mallett was on the show last year. Once or twice a year, we do hear from Jeff Mallett, more so than Greg Kerfoot, who we never hear from. Yeah. But I do wonder if a community ownership, similar to what saved the Columbus Crew, may be the only way to save this. And Axel said he doesn't want to negotiate in public, so he's refraining from getting into the true details of their asks right now with Pavco and the government. We'll see where that leads. But overall, I would say if this media availability today was intended to clarify and reduce the panic, I mean, based on the social media reviews that I've seen thus far, I'm not sure that was accomplished. Other than the relief of knowing that 2026 is seemingly squared away. But I think the long-term future, it's still very much a fear for Canucks fans. So we'll see where this goes. But that's the top story today, and it will remain a close to top story, I would think, for much of the calendar year of 2026. All brought to you by Pacific Blue Cross. Win the ultimate Canucks road trip. Get Pacific Blue Cross travel insurance for your chance to see the Canucks on the road, complete with flights, hotel, lower bowl tickets, and more. No purchase necessary. Contest ends February 28th, 2026. You can enter now at pacificbluecross.ca/Canucks. Back to the Canucks. 5-2 final last night in Vegas, and even the Vegas fans, Jeff, were pretty bored. Vegas does a very good job with game presentation. I found the fans were looking forward to the TV timeouts to try to break up what we were seeing, particularly there in the third period. Adam Foote's thoughts on the overall game last night.
Well, we had some good things going on. I mean, there's a couple of lines going, a couple guys weren't. They were just, you make a mistake, there are bigger bodies around the net, and, but we had some positives we'll take out of that, but we'll grow from that game.
Will they, though, Jeff? Will they grow from that game?
Yeah, the first period was pretty boring, which, given what had happened in Utah 2 nights earlier, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, I thought the Canucks, fairly low event. Kevin Lankinen made the incredible stop off Jeremy Lauzon, who stepped out of the penalty box, had a 2-on-1, and it's scoreless after 20 minutes, and all things considered, not bad. But how many times have we seen this throughout this year, these quick stretches where the Canucks just fall asleep at the wheel, and before you know it, they've given up 2 or 3. Jack Eichel at 5:09. Then Cole Reinhardt scores a minute and a half after that. Yeah, the Canucks got one, but then Ivan Barbashev responds to the Canuck goal 29 seconds later, and they just seem so mentally fragile and weak that even when they get on the board and make it a 2-1 hockey game, they invite their opponent right back into things. And so, on the first goal, like, it's a great shot by Jack Eichel, but David Kampf doesn't look all that invested in getting in front of the shot. Like, he's there, but he's got to do a better job. The Reinhardt goal just slices through the defense. It was Olander. It was Marcus Pettersson. The Barbashev goal, the Canucks get worked down low on the boards. Like, that was almost embarrassing. Turn of events, just the number of, like, the sheer will of Mark Stone and Eichel down low. And then you leave Barbashev wide open in the slot. Like, it's the NHL. You give guys at this level time and space there, they're going to score every time. And Barbashev did. Then the Dorofeyev goal, the Mitch Marner picks the pocket of Myers in the corner, walks uncontested to the front of the net. Oh, yeah, Dorofeyev just at the back door. Nobody's got him either. Like, that looked so damn easy because it was. And, Adam Foote's talking about a couple of lines going, a couple of lines weren't. We already said the Blueger line was going. After that, EP40, completely invisible on this road trip. Jake DeBrusk lost his spot on his line in the third period because he was invisible on the road trip as well. It was a tough night for Camp. It was a bad night for Linus Karlsson. On and on it goes. Like, this team's not good enough when they're all going. And when you have one line, you're going to get results like last night. And so, in some ways it was amazing that it was 3-2. They got the late second period goal from P.O. Joseph to make it a one-goal game, but it didn't feel like a one-goal game to me. And then ultimately, two quick ones a minute apart in the third period, and boom, there's Vegas running away with a victory, and the Canucks into the Olympic break with their tail between their legs.
Lankinen heads to the Olympics on a sour note. We thought it was going to be Tolopilo yesterday. We thought, why not split it? But I almost wonder if Lankinen asked for this game, saying he wanted to sharpen up before the Olympics. That's sort of what went through my head. In the end, another big goal outing for Lankinen. 9 starts since he's led in under 3 goals here, Jeff.
Yeah, and maybe he did go to the coaching staff, but if the plan was to sort of find his game again, A, it's Vegas. That was always going to be difficult. And B, it didn't work for him. 1 win in his last 9 starts as he heads overseas now. So, he got through it unscathed. I was worried about the injury side of things with the start. It just felt like a Tolopilo start. Split the 2 on the road. They went back to Lankinen. Whatever. He can't deliver results. But when I just went through the goals, individually, I'm not sure there was a weak goal in the bunch. It's just he got no support. And it's such a bad environment in front of him. But yeah, I mean, you just wonder where his confidence is now going to a best-on-best tournament. I don't know if he's going to play much over there, but it's been a miserable January and into February and really all season long. It's been a tough go for so many of the Canucks, but Lankinen is on that list of guys that just haven't been able to deliver at any point this season.
I know they got the rare shutout win with Tolopilo last week, but Jeff, it really just feels like if they want to win the rest of the season, they're going to need to score 4 goals on that night in order to get away.
And that seems like you're not wrong, but it feels like a preposterous ask right now. They've scored they've scored 2 in 6 straight games. Like, that's who they are. And 5 of their last 10 goals have come from defensemen. If it wasn't for the D-men stepping up and contributing, again, it's just this crazy list. Like, Pettersson's 11 games without a goal going into the Olympic break. DeBrusk got 1 in 13 or 14. Like, those are your goal scorers. We know about Connor Garland. He's played better of late. He's picking up assists, but still hasn't scored since the empty netter at Madison Square before Christmas. So, those are the guys you're expecting to score. They're not delivering. And if you say, oh, it's just a little bit of a blip, it's not. Last 15 games, Blake, they have scored 29 goals as a team. They're not even averaging 2 a game over their last 15. So you think how many they give up against how many they struggle to score. It stands to reason. They have 2 victories in their last 19 hockey games.
Absolutely unbelievable. Now, again, people might say, but guys, we want them to lose. Absolutely. I don't know that I can remember a 32nd place team looking this much in disarray. Being bad, sure, you can be bad, but it just seems there's a different level of disarray. Now, it will ultimately still result likely in them being the 32nd place team in the NHL, which leads us to our last hockey or NHL angle, at least, story of the day, and what many Canucks fans will hope to be a Canucks. And that is the story of Gavin Mckenna at Penn State University. As it comes out, Jeff, that he is charged with 4 counts of assault stemming from an incident last weekend, of which they've got on tape footage of him throwing 2 punches at a victim that resulted in a broken jaw and lost tooth. And where this goes is anybody's guess here. I mean, part of me half expects Trump to exonerate the kid. If he had a U.S. passport, I'd almost guarantee it. But that's if the backstory is true. Now, there is all sorts of stories floating around on the internet, Jeff, that this was a defense of the honor of his mother after there was words spoken between the two men outside of an establishment. I mean, that's not been fully corroborated yet. That is internet rumor right now. I don't think we can call it anything but that. And until there's actual witnesses coming out and saying that, whether that's in court or in the court of public opinion, I mean, I don't know what to think of this story. Does he get expelled from school here? I mean, honestly, where is this headed? Who knows?
Right. And look, I'm no legal expert, but so often you think, well, big time college program, they'll find a way to make this just disappear. But I don't know if that's the case with a hockey player. As you said, he's a foreigner. I mean, he's a Canadian, but it's not an American. Now, a lot of the rumor lines up that it was their big weekend, the outdoor game. It would make sense that he had family in town. If somebody was shit talking his mom, then he decides to take matters into his own hands. It is kind of funny because we had Cam Robinson on earlier in the week and we talked about Gavin McKenna. And one of the things he pointed out was, 4 penalty minutes early in the season, a couple of misconducts since the World Juniors. This is taking it to a whole nother level, obviously, but full well that they can't say it publicly, but there are NHL teams behind closed doors that are thinking, hey, I don't mind this. Like this, we didn't know. There were questions. Does this guy have an edge? Clearly, he can throw a punch. So, but his NIL situation.
There's money involved here, sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of unanswered questions at this point, and the fact that there was damage done and it's a felony. It's a fairly significant charges here. Like I don't think he's going to jail. Could he get pardoned for draft day? Walk up on the stage in a jumpsuit with his lawyer.
Oh my gosh,
we're getting a little far ahead of it. But yeah, I mean, clearly this is a matter that's now before the courts, and I think you have to give it the gravity that it deserves here. That this isn't a speeding ticket. So let's see where it goes.
Yeah, this is a guy that had surgery. He's had his jaw wired shut, and he's going to be eating smoothies for a long, long time, is the recipient of the 2 punches. And again, I saw a lot of people on Twitter saying, well, that's a tough kid. I want him first overall. I want him as a Vancouver Canuck. We'll see how it affects his draft stock and how it affects his eligibility for Penn State the rest of the way. One other hockey note, this one Olympic related. We expected to be giving you updates of the Canadian women in their first game versus Finland. And the women's tournament overall has begun. But we told you yesterday about Finnish players falling ill upon their arrival in Italy. It sounded gastro. It was gastro. Norovirus has stricken the Olympic Village, it appears. They postponed the game versus Finland for Canada. Postponed it versus conceding, Jeff, which is nice. They'll play this on the 12th now of February, which gives Canada a little more prep time. So game 1 becomes Switzerland on Saturday. A noon start, incidentally, on Saturday for Canada versus Switzerland. And I said it was in the Olympic. Who knows? Let's hope it's not the Olympic Village, Jeff, because that is very contagious. That's one of those cruise ship kind of diseases that can run rampant very quickly. But let's hope it doesn't cast a pall upon both Olympic schedules, right? I mean, that could really mess things up.
Well, and I saw our friend Ryan Rashog is already over there for TSN and reporting that the men's team was planning to reside in the village to get the full Olympic experience, but already there are contingency plans now and looking at hotels and those types of things. I mean, yeah, you just can't take that chance that this bug travels and it travels quickly and it can get out of hand in a hurry. And clearly it did. The 4 Finns missed practice the other day, and you thought, all right, that's not a good sign. It went from 4 to 13 members of their team in a hurry. I'm sure the Olympics, their health departments take all sorts of things like this into account, but how quickly can you stop the bug when you've got that many people living in a close area, sharing, common eating areas and those types of things? steer clear of the salad bar, I guess, would be my advice to anybody that's eating in the Olympic Village. But I'm not sure that we've heard the last of this story. I mean, fingers crossed that we have. You want the Olympics to go off without a hitch, but it sounds like the men, before they even arrive on the ground there, the men's hockey team not taking any chances.
And I'm glad they didn't concede the game, and clearly the rules allowed for there to be a postpone. But I don't think Canada wants to skip a game. I mean, it's a short tournament. You kind of want to feel like your legs are underneath you, but you also want to feel like you've earned it to some degree. Like, I don't think Canada would have been rejoicing if this game was conceded to the Canadians.
No, and women's hockey is a high-profile event in the Olympics, and they've sold tickets and all those types of things. So. You don't want to start the Olympics with a forfeiture. I just don't think it's a great look anywhere. There was a gap in the schedule that allowed them to just push this game to the back. I think they made the right call. But it's just a little unfortunate, and let's hope that it only turns out to be a footnote in the grand scheme.
Well, a couple of games have actually been in the books now on the women's side of things. So, good to see that the ice has survived a couple of 4-1 games, Sweden over Germany and Italy over France. So we are off and running. Curling has begun as well. We haven't got the wall-to-wall coverage beginning yet of the Olympics, Jeff, but I think I'm beginning to see the hook, and I'm beginning to get lured in just a little bit as we get a little bit closer here. And the opening ceremonies, of course, are usually what sinks the hook in here. But I can sort of feel that it's around the corner.
Yeah, I've begun, like, it's just on my television now. As I watched through the morning, there were some snowboard events. And so, it's underway. It's just kind of background-y right now, but starting to get the sense. And with a weekend here ahead, I'll have some time. So, I think before long I'll be in with both feet.
All right, let's move on to the menu brought to you by Greta. It's a great spot to watch the big game. The big game, that big game that you've seen talked about. It's walking distance to the local arenas and stadiums as well. So if you're going there, stop by before or after. And it's also a great spot for an upcoming party or event, team building, social event. Check it out at Greta. Street food menus spectacular. The arcade is so much fun. Lots of options as well. Poutine is spectacular. Nachos amazing. 50 West Cordova and GretaBar.com. Let the games begin. Anticipating, we're hoping to touch base here with Seahawks Insider Gregg Bell here shortly. He is on location, of course, at the Super Bowl, and we are looking for a health update on the Seahawks, who are once again getting nicked in a critical position. So we'll talk to you about Seahawks and Patriots coming up on Sunday at the Super Bowl. Patrick Johnston is on location at the Olympic Games. The aforementioned games are underway. We'll get his take on the arena because he's been in there. So we'll actually get somebody on the inside. And it sounds like he's done a building inspection of sorts, right down to the drywall and the quality of paint. So we'll hear what Patrick Johnston has to say about all that. And then Jeff Marek stops by. We'll talk a little bit about Gavin Mckenna's exploits and where this will leave him. We'll talk about the quality of this Canadian roster with Sam Bennett being added to it, and if it is the right mix to take down the United States and to take down the rest of the Olympic participants, because that's always, it's not so much if there are enough good players, it's if you've brought the right mix here, Jeff, and that's what's going to be analyzed if things don't go right for the Canadians. Is there a world, Jeff, in your mind where they do not get gold or silver? Like, do you see an upset from any other roster here that could push? And I'll even expand it. Let me expand the question. That one of the United States or Canada does not get gold, silver. Is that a foregone conclusion pretty much?
I think in my mind it is. I wish the Swedes were at full health, but they're not. And so Leo Carlson and others, I think the Swedes needed all hands on deck and then needed everybody to step up, including a guy like Elias Pettersson. I just don't know that I have confidence in the Swedes making as much noise as other years. The Finns are always plucky. I think some people like this Czech team and think that it could make some noise. The downfall for Canada could be the goaltending, I guess, and that's not charting new territory. Ultimately, if it goes sideways for Canada, it's probably because we didn't get the saves that we needed. And I do think that's a distinct possibility, but I do also think that this team is built so that, whoever's in goal doesn't have to single-handedly win these hockey games or win the gold medal, that just make the saves you're supposed to. And it's sort of the complete opposite to the Canucks. There should be such a defensive environment for these goaltenders to make their lives that much easier. Again, you're playing against best on best, and the other teams all have guys that know how to put pucks in the net. But, I don't think we're looking at Jordan Binnington or Logan Thompson. If it gets to Darcy Kemper, something's probably really gone sideways. But I don't know that any of those guys has to be the MVP for Canada to be the gold medalist.
Bet365 picks of the day, and I'm going to the Super Bowl, and I'm looking at Sam Darnold, and we're going to talk to Greg here in a second. He's limited. We're not seeing much of practice. They're saving him like they did before the NFC Championship game. But as we look at our Bet365 picks, I'm going Sam Darnold to get to 250 yards. I mean, I don't think they're going to hold him back. He's had 2 weeks of rest here, Jeff, and I'm getting plus 150 on Sam Darnold to get to 250 yards passing on the day. What do you got?
Canucks are done, but there is still one night of action in the National Hockey League before the true Olympic break. Blake, at the outset of the season, if I had told you that a game on February the 5th between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Buffalo Sabres would have fairly significant stakes, you would have laughed at me, but you laugh at most of the things that come out of my mouth, and not because you find them terribly amusing. But the Sabres, I'm on board the Sabres bust now. I want to see them take this thing across the finish line and at the very least make the playoffs, but I think they've got a team that could do more than that. They're the favorites at home against the Penguins, so there's not a ton of value, but I'm going to take the Sabres at minus 125 on the money line.
This segment, a presentation of Bet365. Whatever your bet, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app, get in on the game, use the code NATION. Must be 19 years of age or older, and please play responsibly. Okay, Super Bowl 60 ready to roll this weekend in Santa Clara. Our favorite NFL reporters back for a quick check-in before the big game. Gregg Bell, fresh off Mike McDonald's availability, and we learned the fate of Nick Eamon-Warry, as no team loves to injure their stars in practice more than Seattle. Greg, thanks for doing this. Give us the very latest here on Nick Eamon-Warry, on Sam Darnold. What's the health report here?
Nick Eamon-Warry is going to play. He'll play. He'll play. He'll play on crutches. Thought I'd give that to you guys. Jim Robson.
No, that's well done.
Yeah.
He said he woke up today feeling pretty good. Mike McDonald said the Seahawks, quote, fully expect him to play. It's a low ankle sprain, which is the garden variety you turn on the basketball court in a pickup game. Not the high ankle sprain that he got week 1 and missed mostly four games. The rest of that first game and then 3 more games. That's the more ligament damage up the leg. The low ankle sprain is what you and I do stepping off a curb when you get above 50 years old. So he's got that rather than the other, and that's a good sign that he's going to play. He said he's going to play. He said that the imaging, Eamon-Warry said the imaging came back fine. The doctors have a plan. Not sure he'll practice Thursday or Friday, but he's playing, so it seems like crisis averted. The question now becomes how limited will he be, because he is so central to what they want to do on defense. He plays coverage, he blitzes, he's run, yards after the catch against that guy are 0. And Mike McDonald's defensive game plan is all about Nick Eamon-Warry. The reason they stay at nickel and dime, as you know, Blake and Jeff, it's because Eamon-Warry can play the run and the pass equally well. New England wants to pound him. They want to go at him with Stevenson. They want to run their quarterback, Drake May. They want to try to get the Seahawks to play run defense to open up the pass, but Eamon-Warry allows them to stay in pass defense and still defend the run. He's huge. And the very fact that he's playing is a big deal. Sam Darnold, you're going to keep seeing him show up as limited on the practice report, because if he misses any snaps, he's got to be said limited. But he's been that way now for 3 weeks, and he's played fine. He hasn't turned the ball over. He's got him in the Super Bowl. He's won 30 of the last 37 games. It's a management issue. I don't know if he's still taking pain injections for it, like he did in the divisional playoff against San Francisco. He said that the bye week really helped him. He said he's been getting a lot of sleep down here, especially the first couple of days. He learned that a couple of years ago when he was Brock Purdy's backup in the Super Bowl to get sleep early in the week. Sam Darnold says he's feeling pretty good the last couple of weeks, but time obviously has been on his side since the NFC title game to get better. He'll play, obviously.
Greg, talk about the vibes around the squad right now. They're favorites. They must know they're favorites. They can't paint themselves as anything but. How is that wearing on them?
Very well. It's a young team. They're third youngest team in the league by weighted snap counts, and they don't know any better. Most of them have never been to the Super Bowl. Even the old guys, Leonard Williams, DeMarcus Lawrence, have never been to the Super Bowl. So they don't know what they don't know. Although Nicky Maori did say to me today, I don't know if we're ever going to get back here. And I'm really fortunate that in my first year, I'm already here. As young as they are, as salary cap, how great they are in salary cap shape for next year, third best place in the league, 8-year-old quarterback, 8-year-old head coach, they're ascending. There's no, as great as all that, there's no guarantee they're going to get back here because the NFL legislates against doing this schedule, salary cap, draft. So they do appreciate the fact that they are here. The favorite stuff, they frankly think, Blake, with the defense they have, they should be favored in every game. If their quarterback doesn't turn the ball over, I think they're going to win by multiple touchdowns.
You've watched this team all season long. They've answered every question to get to this point. From a New England perspective, though, where do you think the Patriots think they can exploit the Seahawks?
If Drake May gets out running, if he can get yards, whether it's an intended pass play or design runs, then the Seahawks defense has to adjust and maybe come out of their shells, their deep coverage with nickel and dime. Maybe they'd have to spy even worry on him, although with his ankle, you don't know if he'll spy him or not. Drake May is a running back who also, not to disparage his throwing, but to credit him for being a different kind of runner that they faced all year. The Seahawks have had trouble with containing quarterbacks who get outside tackle boxes. Baker Mayfield scored 38 points on him in Seattle doing that. And that was in a game where they were missing 4 defensive starters who were injured. That was the first game maybe Maury came back from his high ankle sprain. They weren't a full defense then, but they still have had issues for the last really year and a half since Ernest Jones got here of containing quarterbacks who get outside. And Drake May doesn't just roll out like Mayfield to extend plays. He tucks the ball under his arm and runs straight up the field, and Heisman Trophies guys in the open field. That's how he hurt his shoulder in the AFC title game in Denver. So this is a different quarter running than they've faced, an untested Seahawks defense in that regard. If I'm Mike Vrabel, I run Stevenson, the big back, all day inside, and I run Drake May with the ball under his arm outside and see what the Seahawks can stop.
Gregg Bell from the Tacoma News Tribune is our Super Bowl MVP from the Super Bowl shuttle in Santa Clara, no less. We appreciate your dedication. Bravo, sir. Thank you for this. And we're going to touch base next week and wrap all this up.
Yeah, you're welcome. You don't even want to know where I actually am on the shuttle bus right now. Take a guess.
Oh, nice. Well, you don't deserve to be in there, buddy. You deserve to be driving this bus. Extra kudos.
This is where I live. This is where I live. This is where I go. This is where I
so
elevate.
Good. Of course, Patrick Johnston and Jeff Marek right ahead here on Sekeres and Price. Sekeres Price away from the Wall Center today remotely, and wanting to talk to you about the little transformation that we're seeing happen in the world of golf. Jeff and I are both golfers. We've seen, and we're both old too, so we've seen the transformation of this sport from, remember knee-high socks at private golf clubs, Jeff? Remember that?
I do.
Remember a lot of clubs had mandatory knee-high socks, collars tucked in tight, the shirts. All that's kind of going away as hockey has this moment, this cultural shift with athletes like, NBA players and, basketball, hockey, football players. Pro surfers are getting involved playing in golf. And it's that has led to Hurley's collaboration with Levelwear. This is bringing that Hawaiian energy, coastal prints into a sport that never used to have that sort of thing. And it's really fun. And they're doing it with performance-driven, sustainably made apparel, built to move and play. It's really comfortable. It's called the Fairwaves Collection. Modern golf silhouettes, lighter though, more wearable, less rigid, respectful of the roots, but it's not stuck in tradition. And this collection is live. It's available on Levelwear's website to shop right now. Go to levelwear.com. Check out the polos, the hoodies, the hats, the casuals. It's a lot of fun, and we can't wait to be in it this year as we tee it up. And we're going to tee up the Olympics here in just a second as Patrick Johnston joins us from Italy, freshly arrived. We're going to get all the lowdown from you in just a second. We're going to talk mostly Olympics with you, but we do need a final pre-Olympic wrap. And you were thankfully either unconscious or in the air when the Canucks finished off their pre-Olympic portion of the schedule. Man, it was tough, Patrick. And Teddy Blueger throws his team under the bus a little bit, saying that, everything. I mean, he just called into question sort of the intestinal fortitude of this team, which begs the question. I'm going to ask you the poll question. Do they need Teddy Blueger back, whether he gets traded or not? Does that's the kind of veteran it would seem that they would want back for next season.
Yeah. Did I talk about him endlessly on Rinkwide the other day, Jeff?
Yeah,
I did. I mean, that's the irony in all this. If you're looking for a high character guy, a guy to be both useful, a depth player who's not going to necessarily block a young star player, but also to kind of show the way. I mean, here's your guy. The effort he has shown since coming back, and obviously getting legit goals, not just, I mean, he did get an empty net, but not just, kind of pucks bouncing off his knee or whatever, like legit goals. It's not even where would this team be without him. It's like, how do you not go on with this guy? Because exactly that, like, he has been a useful presence for this team despite everything else. And, I had a great chat with him before I left. I've got a story coming out this weekend or next week, I think, actually, about Sidney Crosby and just sort of what at 38, what's the legacy here? What is he going to be remembered for? And when I asked Teddy this question, he said he was so sort of considerate of those around him and so focused at the same time on being a champion, right? Like, he has been a star player all his life. He has worked hard to keep himself at the top. He obviously almost lost his career at one point, came back from that. He has just been a humble guy who, no matter what's been in front of him, has showed up to work. And that, I think, in the end, is Teddy Blueger, right? Like, that is something he learned from the best and certainly shows up every day with that kind of attitude and that kind of character. Like, I've never had a bad conversation with him. And he's the kind of guy you want to keep around. And yet the way he's playing, there will be a team that will pay, I think, good value for him because he will add something to a team heading into the playoffs.
Patrick, our first chance to talk to you since Filipino has left the lineup yet again after the second period in Utah the other night, doesn't play in Vegas. And Adam Foote says migraines. He's going to go see a specialist here over the break. And he fully expects that Filipino is going to be available and ready to go when the Canucks crank things up on the 18th or whatever. But are we not at a point now where, sure, he may return to the lineup, but you just can't depend on Filipino here moving forward?
Well, no, and as he said to us, when he came back, listen, everybody thinks I've had all these concussions. I haven't had all these concussions. I've had other things. We assume he meant sort of neck issues. Maybe they were migraines. And listen, maybe he does have these, and hopefully he does find a way through them, because I thankfully don't deal with them, but I know people that do. And I think we all know people that deal with them. And I did note the other day when it was confirmed he was dealing with migraines and wouldn't play in Vegas, and that's why he'd left the game. Where were they before? I can't even remember. I've been traveling so much.
Utah.
Yeah.
Utah.
Anyway, Utah. I listen, you do not hope he has an autoimmune disease like Tucker Pullman turned out to have. But if we go through the track, and I went back and looked carefully through the reporting, because at first he was out, Tucker Pullman was out with an illness. Then he was out for a really long time and was undisclosed. And then towards the end of the year, there was sort of head injury, which we all thought meant concussion. Then it was the sun run. We went into training camp. It was like, was this a concussion? What was this? And then it's like, oh no, he has migraines. And then we never saw him. He played the 3 games or whatever it was. And then we just never saw him again. And then now we know what it really was. So I suppose the point is that we're never can be very sure what they are. So you hope it's just a migraine, right? You hope it's nothing else, and you hope that perhaps it is the story. But yeah, you're right. If it's that serious, you hope he can figure out what the triggers are. Hopefully it's not exercise, because there's a reliability challenge. I actually thought he'd been playing pretty well, and I thought he'd been an interesting option as a winger. Whether that's the long-term fit, we don't know. And assuming he's healthy, but now, it's another sort of bad thing on the list of bad things that this team has assembled this year. And I'm not sure there's not many boxes left to tick off, given everything they've managed to tick off over the last 18 months.
Back on the veteran side of things, let me ask you yesterday's poll question. Do you actually think they will trade a veteran with term before the deadline? Given what we just talked about with Blueger, given a guy like Chytil's not around much, I mean, do you think they actually pull the trigger on a guy with term?
I mean, I haven't checked in with anybody in a week or two, and I think, when I had conversations with a couple of people who sort of said, I think they may get rid of a forward and a defenseman. I think that's less likely, but I do think they still move. I think they still end up probably moving someone. We've talked about Carter Garland before. How much appetite does he have for the project that's here, to be perfectly honest? And the sort of utility brings, and he's been struggling. Does he just need a reset? Well-documented offensive struggles. Does he just need a reset? Is he now moving past what this team needs? I don't necessarily say I think it means he's going to go. But if you're looking for someone to go, I think that might be one of the options, because in the end, the list is not exactly that long anymore. I think that's probably the long and the short of it at this point.
I just wonder, because this team is a mess. This team, it's been a while since we covered a 32nd overall team. Usually the Canucks are the mushy middle, that worst place to be. But are all 32nd place teams this much of not a mess on the ice? I mean, they just seem to be a mess. This seems extraordinary.
Yeah. The problems are so total, right? That it is a complete turn, right? It's not even a few things went wrong. The team as it was assembled 2 years ago did not work and is completely blown in their face. And, think about it, right? They had to move on from JT Miller. Quinn Hughes wanted to go. The coach left. They've moved Kiefer Sherwood, who to me the craziest is the craziest part of the story, because he was brought in to make them a better playoff team. And yet he became the only guy that could consistently bring it every night over the course of his season and a half. And now he's gone because he did exactly what they wanted him to do, and it didn't matter. Elias Pettersson, Jeff, I didn't check in on what the shot total was over the final 10 games or 11 games or whatever, but it's been a miserable go for him. And in a way, I mean, you talk more and more. Like, I'm in Milan. I talk to people who now here who don't cover the Canucks every day, and there's very much that. Well, Canucks are stuck with Pettersson, aren't they? And that's the take out there, and it's not good. It's a real mess. They've got a lot to do, and the sooner they get at it when they come back and they start trying to find pieces for the future, whether that's in interesting young prospects or just straight up draft picks, the sooner the better, because I think fans get it. We know this. Fans can see it. You want to, I've written this more than once now. Listen, the team is not going to be good on the ice. What the fans need to see is heart and character, and at least we're starting to see some of that. And you can start guessing at least some of who the guys might be around through the rest of this process. But yeah, like the longer this carries on, the longer you sort of have this circling the drain aspect of it that's still there, the harder it's going to be to watch.
Oh, PJ, you can get halfway around the world. You cannot leave the Vancouver Canucks entirely behind.
No.
I'm happy to update you that it's 12 shots in the last 11 games in which EP40 has not scored a goal. So as we sort of advance this now to your new neck of the woods there, the Olympics, and I asked this question last night on social, like, realistically, like, what can the expectations be on PD for Team Sweden? I'm really curious about his role, and it takes us all back a year. We asked all these same questions around the Four Nations and really didn't get much of an answer there. So here we are a year later. Things have not really progressed for him individually, and yet the Swedes have a bunch of injuries, so they could use this guy to rise up, but hard to imagine that we're going to see a different looking number 40 wearing the yellow Swedish jersey.
When he got confirmed to the team in, I guess, was it early January, a month ago, give or take, I thought, he's going to be a useful player. He's found his way. He's points up. He's playing well. But he's just gone completely sideways again. And in ways that just don't make sense, because there are moments. You do see moments of him carrying the puck through the neutral zone, of him trying to do stuff, of him trying to attack the defender. But it's not adding up to anything. And you're right. Like, he's going to go into a Team Sweden that really does need him at his best. And I don't think anyone's expecting that, right? Like, if he does, great. That's a great surprise. And maybe that turns the season around or whatever. But where things are at are not good. And at a certain level, I'd say, would you like to talk about Nick Jensen? Because I talked to Nick Jensen just today and thought about busted prospects from the past and how they managed to reestablish their career, and talk about everything. But you just don't want, like, in the end, I care about, like, the player. Like, you just don't want to see a busted player. And you want to see, in the end, like, this is what we do. We don't root for teams, but we do want to see the players at their best. Like, it's better for everybody. It's better for them. It's obviously better for us. It's better for the fans. You do hope. I continue to hold out hope that somehow, some way, he will find his way back to that guy that was starring for this team 3 seasons ago, or 2.5 seasons ago, if you want to include where he was at halfway through 23-24. We just have not seen that guy enough, and it's just baffling that it's just completely evaporated the way it has.
Who's going to be the leading point getter for Canucks at the Olympics? Teddy Blueger is probably going to be the top line center for Latvia. Yeah. Philip Hronek's got a chance if he continues to play well.
Sure.
If Lucas Reichel can get on Draisaitl's line, you never know. I mean, honestly, like, we're talking about a pretty modest total, though, here for these players, right? Like, honestly, who's going to be the top point getter?
Yeah, can you beat out on 4 assists or something, right? Like, can you get a goal and 4 assists? Yeah, I listen, the way Bluger's playing, I mean, he's going to eat heavy minutes in some of his games. But those, the Latvians love it. It's like the Danes. It's like why I did talk to the old Canuck Nick Jensen. Like, how excited are you guys? This is a chance to show yourselves to the world again and perform. I think, what about ex-Canucks? Like, can anybody outscore JT Miller? That's the real question. We're not even going to talk about Quinn Hughes. Can anybody outscore JT Miller? It's not. I mean, it's cool, I think, for Canucks fans to see some of their players in these starring roles, and being in the best tournament that we've seen in a long, long time. But it is a reminder of sort of the modest, the optimistically modest nature of this Canucks roster right now, isn't it?
So help us out a little bit then. Women's hockey is underway, but if Nick Jensen is already there, so the Danes are already there. Are there some? Clearly, there are some men.
Yeah. So the Danes got here today. I think the Latvians, so the teams are arriving. The way it works, the NHL teams assemble. I guess most of them assemble in New York on Saturday, and they'll, taking a red eye, and they'll be here Sunday morning. Canada practices, I think, at 7:15 on Sunday evening. Everybody has evening practices on that's the reality where you are body clock wise. And then they start turning them into daytime practices in the following days. I believe Canada's scheduled right now to practice on the 10th. There's scheduled practice every day leading up to their opener, but they're scheduled to practice on the 10th, and I've been told they may take that day off. We'll see how that shakes out just because they've kind of got to get, they do have to shake themselves out. I flew red eye to London and then to Milan, and, essentially on the clock goes. I was in transit for 15 hours, but with a 9-hour time difference from the West Coast and travel. And, you stay up late and it's hard. I tried to go to sleep and I woke up early because it's still evening back home. And I'm looking forward tonight to hopefully getting back on a bit more of a regular sleep schedule.
Good luck.
But you get through it, right? And you just press on. And, the Danes are here. The Latvians are here. Obviously the Italians are already here. It's going to be a fun little exercise. I'm putting a story together about the state of the rink, and the bowl looks great. You walk into the building and it looks great. They've got a bigger scoreboard, interesting one to follow. There still is only the score clock on the scoreboard. So there's no, we're used to, in NHL rinks where the players can look up to the end of the ice and see the clock. There isn't clocks for them to look at because this is essentially a concert venue, right? There is never going to be hockey played at this event ever again. So there's going to be some fun stories coming out about this nature of the ice, the state of the ice. We did manage to get, and I'm drawing a blank. I'm there with Josh Clipperton and Steve Wino. We went to talk to the players after the game. 4-1 win for the Italians. Full building. People went nuts, had a great time. Italians were pretty happy about it. But the French goalie admitted it was warm and the ice did feel a little bit soft. I think that's just the reality of it was warm outside today. It's Vancouver-like weather right now. And, the building is, like I said, not designed for hockey. It's designed for concerts and I suppose maybe basketball or tennis or something. But there, it's a temporary surface they've laid over the floor. It is a funny rink. By the way, this is something Wino went off about. And I said, once I actually sat back and I said, wait a second, international rink is normally 197 feet, which is what this one is. The difference in this one is that it's actually not the full international width. So it's not that different from any other Olympic rink they've played at. So people kind of being, oh my God, this rink. I'm like, it's actually not that different. It's just it's a slightly smaller NHL sized rink. But the rinks, on the end, it looks good. They brought in Don Moffat, I think, from Colorado, who's been here since September or something, making this thing work. And he said, admittedly, because of the nature of the structure of the ice is actually going to sound louder because it's not the pipes are above, right? So there's just more reverberation. They're not in the soil of the building. So it'll, I think some of the players might find it sounds different, but it plays well. The French and the Italian women played a fast game out there. It was a fun one to watch. So there's big potential for this to be an exciting tournament. It's the edges of the building, the apps, if you will. You've got. I ended up walking in and just kind of toured around, and you notice, that concrete doesn't look completely finely brushed. And there's just kind of dust in the corners. And you do see some pipes. And, I was sitting in the press center and we looked over and Wino and Clipperton all of a sudden are wandering around like a pair. They looked like Arnold and Danny DeVito in twins because they're such a different in stature and they're kind of pointing around. And I was like, what's going on? And I realized there was water dripping from the ceiling, and they brought some guys in to fix it. We think it was the fire system. Anyway, like there are things, but there's food. I went and had a €9 cheeseburger, which tasted fine. It was not terribly exciting.
You
what
went
came
to
with
Milan and had a cheeseburger?
Well, you have to try out what the food in the building is.
One.
Hey, I'm just reporting. Like, I've got to find out what the food's like, Like, what are they serving here? Anyway, you had to pay for your visa, by the way.
If Tucci in Italy has taught me anything watching that series,
I had pizza and Sardinian beer last night. Okay?
Milan. Okay.
Yeah, I know. That's. Listen, I'm just telling you. Report. That's what they had for sale. It was that or bad sandwiches. So what do you want me to do? Yeah, but the rink will be fine. Actually, the fun one. So here's a fun one. You're going to see more about this. So the practice rink is outside. It's literally in a tent. It's this enormous white tent. They could hold a wedding there. And they've got all the dressing rooms. Apparently, the dressing rooms are done. I think the clip he got from Pierre-Edouard Bellemare was, he goes, there's a coat of paint. You'd maybe like 2 or 3, but there's a coat of paint. Are there any dressing rooms, NHL dressing rooms? No, but they're fine. And there's a hook for you to put your clothes. And, so that's outside the building. So they have to walk across a path, and I'll post it on Blue Sky, and I've been doing stuff on my Patty J on the Road Instagram too. Because the goalies have to get dressed, and it's far enough, they are golf carting the goalies into the building. So there's a little path. They scoot down, and then they scoot in, and then they're at the rink, and it all happens. So yeah, it's going to be an experience.
I hope they're Ferrari golf carts in Italy.
Yes, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Or Fiats at the very least.
Nice gurgle to them when you turn them on. Patrick, wonderful reporting. Despite us teasing you, that's good color.
So jealous about the cheeseburger.
Yes,
I won't tell. No more.
The hotel artwork is good.
Yeah,
I don't know if Da Vinci did the hotel artwork. I mean, that's next level. Like, that is not from Home Sense, like hotels in North America. So
yeah, I don't know, guys. Yeah,
great stuff. We will check in again, I'm sure. But wonderful scene setter here for the Olympics. We appreciate it. Postmedia's Patrick Johnston back with us, and we'll be reading all of your exploits throughout the couple of weeks here. Thanks, you, man.
Take care, guys. Yeah.
All right, lots to talk about as we head into the Olympic break, and we need Jeff Marek to talk about it. So he joins us once again, host of The Sheet. Here on a fully remote day for us here on Sick Harrison Price featuring Jeff Patterson. Welcome aboard, sir. How are you?
I am well. Blake, J-Pat, good to be with you guys again. And yeah, we are all fully remote. This is what all designed for. Hockey anywhere, hockey everywhere.
That's
One's
right.
in a hotel room. J-Pat, I'm assuming you're at a rink right now. Am I correct on that one? And
close. Home office. But
okay, so you're in the home office, and I'm in the broadcast empire, my basement.
Yeah.
So we're both at home, and Blake's on the road. Can we not get Matty from somewhere south on the beach with sand in his toes?
No, that's the last place we want to see him. Yeah, he's scantily clad on a Mexican beach. No one needs to see that. No one needs to see that.
With a Speedo so tight we can see what religion he is.
Yes,
we don't need that on the Sakaris and Price show today.
Thank you.
What you're saying. Okay, very good. Very good.
I was at the Canucks game last night, and man, oh man, that was a team that, especially in the third period, looked pretty ready for an Olympic break. I mean, Canucks fans have 25 games to go, Jeff, and if they could find the fast forward button, I'm sure they would.
This is where it feels like a season, right? This is where you always talk about the value of, even if you don't make it to the playoffs, the value of having a season that's really 82 games. Like, at the end of the day, if the San Jose Sharks don't make it to the playoffs, they're still going to know what 82 games feels like. All those kids, right? And obviously, so starting with Macklin Celebrini, they're all going to know what 82 games feels like because they're going to be in the race right up to the very end. So even if they don't ultimately make it, there's that experience factor. And then there are just some teams that just can't wait for game 82 to show up. And unfortunately, that's where the Vancouver Canucks find themselves. And, you can never ask a coach to deliberately lose. That won't happen. You can never ask a player to go out there and throw games away. They're still, wired to compete. but man, does it ever feel like a season. Although you look for like the small league, I thought Blueger's line was really good last night. Like what I saw from Liam Ogrren last night. I like Connor Garland last night. Other than that, there wasn't a whole lot that I really liked from a Vancouver point of view in that game. But for what it's worth, I thought Blueger's line was good.
Yeah, but
Did I
this
miss
is the
something?
problem. No, but this is the problem. That they found a line that works, and Teddy Blueger's going to get punted here on the other side of the roster.
He's going to get
freeze.
I know. I know.
And they let the poor moms down, Jeff, too. They took the moms out of the road. There was supposed to be some sort of inspiration there, and then they fall flat in Utah. Yeah, well, at least the moms got Vegas.
At least mom's got Vegas. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's one thing to do it in front of disappointed dad, but you never want to let down mom. I understand it. Just by the way, do you guys know the Anaheim story, the Anaheim dad's trip story? Do you guys ever hear this one? Boudreaux and I talked about this on the pod that we do a couple weeks ago. It's the greatest dad's trip ever, where Anaheim was in San Jose, and Gabby says in the morning he gets a note from the team. This guy says, I need to show you something, and he shows him the hotel video of the in-hotel bar from the night before, and sure enough, some of the dads from the Anaheim Ducks got in a brawl in the bar at like 2:00 in the morning. 2:00 in the morning, and afterwards, the Anaheim Ducks scrubbed the dad's trip. Yes, there was actually a brawl between boozy patrons and some boozy dads as well. But anyhow, yeah, you never want to let down mom, and mom will always play it off like she's not let down, but you can't let mom down. That's always a tough one. That's always a tough one. But at least they're doing it. Like at least they're still doing the trip, right? Like I don't know if the Maple Leafs, we haven't heard whether the Maple Leafs are doing theirs this year yet.
And the Canucks hadn't done one for a couple of years. So it came back this year. They did a Mentors trip a couple of years ago, but it had been a few seasons since they did it. So I was glad in a losing season like this one, at least, break it up, bring the moms in, have a little fun.
Now, of course, the payoff for being this bad is the chance to get the top pick in the NHL entry draft. And, it was looking like Stenberg was the consensus after the World Juniors, after McKenna had it for much of 2025. And then Gavin McKenna started going off at Penn State. And then we all thought, okay, there's the Canadian kid, putting his flag in the ground and going, nope, this thing is mine. And then there was last weekend, Jeff, and we know what's happened since then.
You mean the big goal that he scored in the outdoor game at Beaver Stadium, and that great picture with the celebration? That's what you're talking about, right, Blake? I have this.
There was that, and that added to what I was just talking about. Like I think we had all just finally found unanimity. Okay, it is going to be McKenna at number one. What's going to happen now here, Jeff?
Boy, that's the big question that everybody's asking right now, right? What exactly happened, and various reports about other buckled students approaching them and insults to family members, and that's all for one part of the conversation. I get it. The question for me is with this Gavin McKenna incident, and I don't think Penn State plays again until I want to say 13th or maybe 15th against Michigan. So there's some time to sort a lot of this kind of stuff out here. Gavin McKenna's Canadian. I don't know what something like this would do with, again, we'll see what happens with charges. What would happen with his immigration status? Well, what would this mean for his NIL? I ask from a place of ignorance. I just don't know. Because this is, as we talked about this season being, okay, this is the first year of the new reality. I think that we looked at this season and said, okay, there's going to be some kids that like it and excel. There's going to be some kids that like it or maybe are on the fence and have a hard time with it and maybe come back to the Canadian Hockey League, and we've seen that too. I don't think any of us looked at this and said, well, what happens if there's an assault charge against any of these kids? And now here's where we find ourselves with Gavin McKenna. So that's what I'm sort of curious about here. What does this do with his immigration status? What does this do with his status with Penn State and the hockey program? I legitimately have nothing at this point, nothing but questions, like many of us.
And we can't really prognosticate what any one of us would do as a team, because again, we don't have any of those details, Jeff. That's the problem, right? We don't know if he's got to come back to the CHL. We don't know if he's going to get bailed out, and if there's any administration in the United States government that might sort of look at this and say, hey, again, if he was defending the honor of his mother and all, we need some details here before we're really able to flesh out the story, right?
Yeah, there's the legal side of this, and then there's well, you know what? Maybe the guy got what he deserved. You want to lip off about someone's mom. What do you think is going to happen if that is indeed what happened? And that's why, I've been asked a couple of different times, what is this going to do if all of this is true, assuming all of this is true, what would this do to his draft stock? And I keep answering nothing. Nothing at all. Like, this isn't going to be like all of a sudden teams are going to be, buyer beware. Gavin Mckenna allegedly, punched someone outside of a restaurant who may or may not have been insulting his mother. I don't think that's going to do anything to his draft stock. I would imagine for a lot of hockey operators, it might improve it, or it might just cement that status as well. So right now, the whole scenario, there's the hockey side of it, and then there's the legal side of it here. And I think from the hockey point of view, don't think it changes anything. We'll see how it all plays out. But from the legal point of view, I think all right now we have our questions. I know I certainly do. I suspect you guys are the same way.
Yeah, look, I don't want to make light of it, but it seems to me that you can almost hear whispers out of Medicine Hat saying, like, chuck him out of the country, send him back to the Western Hockey League.
They don't need him. Hang on. Well, Medicine Hat's one of the best story in the HL. Like, they lose all these players, Richie and McKenna, like, top 10 team. Like, still, it's impressive. But I do know what you mean. Yeah, throw the book at him. Get him out of Division 1.
We saw the Los Angeles Kings beat the clock yesterday ahead of this roster freeze. But did they not miss a massive opportunity? They're below the playoff bar. They lost at home to Seattle last night. They're in Vegas, so they had 2 games here bumping up against the Olympic portion of their schedule. They need wins. And so, like, this rush to make the deal to get Panarin, but now we find out that he's not going to play until after the Olympics, that he's been off, and obviously the Rangers had put him on mothballs there. I don't know. It feels like a missed opportunity for the Kings. If that was their guy and that was the deal, make it and get him in here so that he can help you.
It sounded very much like his group, and that was led by Paul Theophanous, the agent, wanted to test the marketplace here. And, like, let's not forget here, the Rangers weren't playing the guy, and he was still getting paid. Essentially, this was free agency. Like, this was free agency for Artemi Panarin. Somehow, Artemi Panarin figured out how to get to free agency in late January, early February, and that's what we just saw. And it sounded like very much like Paul Theophanous, did his homework and negotiated or talked to a lot of different teams, trying to get the best possible contract that he could for his client. And its latest piece, he talks about as much as offers of around $15 million per season, like massive offers. So even if your client, like, the way that I look at it, JPat, is even if your client has his heart set on, I'm going to Los Angeles. And Blake, I think I said with you and Maddie a couple of weeks ago that I had spoken with an ex-general manager at an event that I was doing, who mentioned, like, it looks like he's going to Los Angeles. What the agent is doing then is trying to play every other team off of each other to drive that price tag higher and higher. I know, JPat, exactly what you mean. Like, the Kings are scrapping for every single point that they can get. But at that moment, I don't know that was Artemi Panarin's concern or Paul Theophanous' concern at that point. It's just try to get the maximum compensation and comfortable term for your client, however you're going to do it. And there were, make no mistake about it, a lot of teams that were interested in Artemi Panarin. That just drove it higher and higher, even if he had his heart set on Los Angeles. And the other thing too is, perhaps he would have wanted longer term than just 2 years with Los Angeles. You build up the marketplace. Maybe you can juice the Kings for a couple of extra seasons. So I don't know that as much as LA wanted him and they needed those points, that was certainly measured off and balanced out by Panarin and his camp trying to get the best of all possible deals. That's a nice deal for him. Barely took a haircut.
Was the trade activity before the roster freeze about at the level you expected, with just a couple there coming in at the end?
I thought that there would be. I thought that there would be more. Bukestad to New Jersey is interesting. just because of the position, specifically center. And so right away, you wonder about the health of Jack Hughes and looking for insulation there. I thought that there would be more, and I thought that there would be teams like Detroit, for example, who have double-digit cap space, and I thought that they could sort of leverage, because there are some teams, I'm sure, that they just don't want guys sitting on their salary cap right now, guys that they're intending to move, and Detroit could have made that deal quite easily, thank you very much, and they'll eat the extra couple of weeks. But it didn't happen. Deadline spur activity, I suppose. This was one sort of deadline, and if anything, I think we're going to see things pretty active when the freeze is up, because teams are going to do business with one another, and they'll just wait for the trade freeze to lift. And I don't know what this is going to mean for actual trade deadline day. Probably, as we've seen the last few years, there's always some. Rantanen was the big one last trade deadline, but sometimes the bigger trades get made, a couple of days before or the day before the actual trade deadline. But I think when the freeze is up, we're going to see what type of activity all these teams have had with one another.
The Olympic roster freeze, because we are finally at the stage where you can get excited about that and what the games will bring to us. Still have a little bit of a week away for game number one on the men's side. Women get going, of course, now. But on the men's side, with the addition of Sam Bennett, do you like the group? Do you still think they're missing some skill? Do you think Wilson and Bennett are redundant?
It's a great question. You look at the first thing that jumps out at you, a couple of things jump out at you right away when you look at Team Canada, and that is, wow, this looks just like the Four Nations team. All right. And then you start to hear, people around Hockey Canada and other observers say, well, it's pretty clear that Hockey Canada wants people that have been in big pressure situations before. And they're hesitant, and Hockey Canada has always been this way, hesitant to bring young players. Previous to Macklin Celebrini in the NHL era in the Olympics, it was Drew Doughty at 20 in Vancouver, and even then, people were like, ooh, this Doughty kid's too young. And by the end, he was one of Canada's best defensemen, but nonetheless. They want guys that have been there before. They want Stanley Cup winners, they want Four Nations champions as well. So it does make some sense. I know that it looks like, and it feels like, and the USA is guilty of this as well, it does very much look like is building a team to beat the US. And the United States has built a team to try to beat Canada. So I asked Brian Burke about this when the Canada roster was initially released, and he had an interesting answer. He said, of course, Canada has tried to put together a roster to beat the United States. And then he paused and said, and that means they've put a roster together to beat everybody. In his mind, the two countries that have clearly distinguished themselves amongst the pack are Canada and the United States. If you can beat the other, then you can beat anybody else. That's Berkey's idea here. I don't know that I disagree with him at all.
No, that would be my thing, is if you constructed a team to win a street fight mixed with skill, can you beat the other teams as well? And Jeff, I just don't think there's another team. I don't think the Swedes, and there's no Russians there, that are just so stacked with skill. Normally I would say, maybe a fully skilled team then has a chance to skate around them. But I don't think that anybody's got that right now.
No, I don't think so. I think this whole thing is sort of matching up, and we'll see. Along, what it's like in the Olympics, guys. Along the way, weird things happen. Hey man, what happens if Lucas Tostal stands on his head in that first game?
Yep. Yeah.
All right, and Canada gets the big scare early, and the United States gets to breeze through there. That's the ultimate wild card here, but Canada has, and we can always nitpick, and I think we're all looking at the goaltending and saying if they're going to fall down somewhere, it's probably going to be a net. And I can nitpick, there we go, first day with the new tongue, nitpick the blue line and make the point that, Evan Bouchard should be there above Colton Parayko, and, Evan Bouchard should be there above Drew Doughty. And then I catch myself and I keep thinking, what does Hockey Canada want? Rings in the room, rings in the room, rings in the room. And that ain't Evan Bouchard, but that is Doughty, and it is Colton Parayko. So we can nitpick all we want, but this is a team that, barring anything bizarre happening, should win the gold medal. I hope I just haven't jinxed it for this country, but they should.
We've asked this question of a few guests this week, but who's getting the start for Canada in game one?
Boy, I keep coming back to one idea, and that is loyalty. But loyalty only extends so far. We've seen loyalty with the selection process, and that's why I've been given this answer whenever it's been asked. I feel like it's Jordan Binnington in the first game, but after the first game, all bets are off. All bets are off. I think out of sort of courtesy and respect for foreign nations, they give the first start to Binnington. I don't think anyone even can predict whether he's going to finish that game given the season that he's had and how hard he's been to hit this season for the St. Louis Blues. I think a lot of that is the blue line too, but nonetheless, I digress. So I think J-Pat, I think he gets the first start, but then after that, don't know. But you know what? I'll tell you one thing. I spoke to Chris Pronger last week, who brought up a really interesting point about Logan Thompson, and I want to share it with you and your viewers and listeners here, because we had this conversation about the net minding, and I asked him from a blue liner's point of view, when you have a right catch goaltender, what does that do for you? What does that do for your team? My thinking is, it's a weird look for the shooters from the other team. It's going to be more difficult for them to score. The instincts are all on the other side now. And he said, it's hard for defenders. I said, really? He goes, yeah. He goes, think about it this way. He said, you look at someone like Alexander Ovechkin setting up from that one-timer in that one-timer spot where he always does. You know, as a defenseman, if I'm trying to get Ovechkin for that shot, I want to take away the short side. And for a traditional goaltender, I'm taking away the short side, that's the blocker. In this case, it's the glove, and goalies want to use that glove there. Where does the goaltender want me at that moment for that one-timer? He said pucks go in different places with a right catch goaltender. It's not the same, and all your instincts are a little bit different. He said it's not as easy as you think. Now, these are the elite of the elite, and you should be able to adapt, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I thought it was interesting that Chris Pronger, like one of the greatest defensemen to ever play the game, had even just like a little bit of sort of a misgiving about a right catch goaltender in net, just because defensively your instincts aren't always the right choices. Because what lane do you want to take away? Where are the rebounds going? I just thought I'd throw that little wrinkle in there just to scare Canadian hockey fans who want Logan Thompson from stem to stern on this one. But I just thought it was interesting.
Aren't you glad that we don't have any rink drama left? I mean, I guess it could, if there's a big sinkhole in game number 2, I guess we're going to have some rink drama. But it seems like that. And Matt always cautions me because I always get ramped up about the Olympics not being ready, the venues, because it's always like this at every Olympic Games. Mm-hmm. But it looks like they've pulled it off. And then we look ahead to these drawings for Nice of a soccer stadium cut in half. I mean, you know, who knows how that's going to work, but just the Olympic experience and just the drama around it's a lot of fun. And
that's great.
I'm going to jump into it when I jump into it. I'm still not fully invested into it, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be great. We're all going to get caught up in it. Every period is going to be a full audit on the Canadian system, the American system, the Finnish system, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's just the nature of the Olympics. I don't know about you guys, but I'm dying, and I've been lobbying, and I've gotten indirectly messages to him to please say it once. I'm dying to hear John Cooper say, we're looking for like really good 197-foot players. We don't want 200-foot players.
He might.
3 feet too much. I want that John Cooper smirk like in the corner of his mouth. You know what? Our 197-foot players are better than their 197-foot players, and that's what it came down. I'll tell you what. Stade de Nice looks interesting, and I do wonder. One thing that I've always wondered about, and this was sort of in the era where owners would grouse about stopping the season. Pausing the NHL season to put on the Olympics, for which they, in their minds, and I think a lot of it was a bluff, don't see direct benefits. I still think it's always a benefit to have your athletes on the biggest stage where the whole world is watching, especially now that the NHL has opened up an office in Switzerland, and finally international hockey seems much more on the front burner than the back burner. But considering, and Stade de Nice is outdoors, as we all know, so that scuttles this idea. I'm sure you guys have heard this one before. Considering it's all indoors and it's all climate controlled, Olympic hockey in the summer? Why does it have to be winter? It's not outdoors. Players. It keeps the NHL season going. There's no stopping whatsoever.
And it used to be, right? Didn't it used to be in the summer games?
When it started. You're a historian. I like you. Absolutely. Yeah. Good for you. Yeah, absolutely. Why not? Played in this. What do you think, J-Pat?
Well, no, but our buddy Dave Tomlinson, didn't he play in the Goodwill Games in Seattle? Wasn't it? I believe he played hockey it was a summer event in the Goodwill Games going back like 30 years.
Yeah. Sure. You look at things like, Canada Cup 87, 1972 Summit Series. No one shut down the NHL for these events. They did for, like Svestia and things like that, which are, I think are fantastic. But no, like, I don't know that we ever get there. I don't think we ever would. But you could make the logical argument that as much as hockey is a quote-unquote winter sport, because of the presence of ice, they played outdoors. It's all climate controlled. This way, NHL can have their full season.
You'd rather lose your player to a knee injury in August than in February.
Bingo. Now, will the IOC ever go for it? No. It's all moot. No. It's just talk radio topic. Just fodder for Thursday afternoon. That's all it is.
Well, but again, it preserves it as an Olympic sport. So, I do want to ask you one last question on the NHL before I get you to the Easter.
Sure.
Just this drama with Rick Tocchet. This drama with Rick Tocchet. I mean, he's not in danger there, is he? I know they're not playing great either.
No. But that's the thing too. Like, winning covers everything up. I think a lot of that too is, we've seen this before. The team's not successful. Everybody tries to find a target, and right now it's this feud, either legit or just perceived, between Rick Tocchet and Matvei Michkov. And we all know how much Matvei Michkov means to the Philadelphia Flyers in the future of that organization, and all the work they had to do to get him there in the first place, and the flashes of brilliance. Is he the fastest skater? No, he ain't Pavel Bure, folks. He ain't going to be that guy, but he is a highly skilled player and someone that the Philadelphia Flyers are going to lean on for a lot of years as they continue to rebuild this team. I don't know. I don't think the organization was exactly thrilled at how open Rick Tocchet has been about the with Michkov. But I always look at situations like this and say, winning cures all of it. Winning paints over all of it, doesn't it? Like, winning dresses it up, buttons up the shirt and puts a tie on, like all of it. Like, winning combs the hair. Winning kind of changes all of it. Now, it doesn't help.
Two best soap operas in hockey are in Pennsylvania. That and Gavin McKenna. Pennsylvania's got it all going on.
And one of the best stories. And one of the best stories is Pittsburgh. One of the best stories is Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, honestly, like Pennsylvania hockey, you get storyline, or you got. But even then, like they've dropped a couple now. I don't think they're coming back down to earth yet. But it has been a great story. Anyhow, I digress.
It's going to be nerve-wracking for them. Okay, Easter egg. Back to the Olympics.
Yeah.
And we talked goaltending. It's a three-way tie for the most Olympic starts in Canadian hockey history. It's a three-way tie for second. So there's 6 players. 3 tied with 11 starts, 3 tied with 8 starts. I'm only looking for 4 names on this list. You can jump in at any time if he struggles, so Jeff. But 4 names out of the 6.
Patrick Waugh for sure. Who, famously told Mark Crawford, if you want me in 98, I have to get all the starts. I'm going to go Patrick Waugh.
Patrick Waugh's not. He's down at 6 Olympic starts.
He's at 6.
Yeah.
All right, then. Martin Brodeur.
Yep.
Sean Burke.
There you go. Those 2 are tied at 11.
What number? Those 2 are tied at 11, so one more 11 then.
I'll be amazed if you get this one. This is hockey historian stuff. And then there's 3 at 8 here. Welcome to get 2 off them.
Let me go with Carey Price.
No. Both. If Jeff should be able to get both of these.
J-Pat
Jeff
Lifeline on one of them.
Oh,
Jeff knows both. Luongo at 8. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Luongo for sure.
And there's one last guy, sneaky, a former Canuck as well.
Former Canuck.
I'll say this: he's an advocate. An activist, if you will, almost.
An advocate, an activist.
You're gonna, both of you guys are gonna absolutely hate yourselves for this.
Yeah,
I don't know, J-Pat. What do you think?
I'll give you the 2 that you're never going to get first. Ken Broderick and Murray Dowie are guys from the 40s and 20s.
Yeah.
And the last one that you guys both missed, Corey Hirsch.
Yeah. Of course.
Yes. Of course, Hershey. Yeah.
8 starts.
Of the postage stamp fame.
Exactly, yes.
Which was actually a Kent Nilsson move, not a Peter Forsberg move. But yes,
there you
Corey
go.
Hirsch.
Yeah, it's an interesting list.
Good one.
Yeah, there you go. Carey Price with 5 starts, by the way. So yeah, you were in and around it there.
With 5,
Jeff, pleasure.
The Sochi starts for sure. Well, next time we're talking Olympics. That's going to be good.
We are. We're into it. We're absolutely into it. Jeff, thanks for this. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, boys. Be good.
So Garrison Price remotely today. We're missing our home studio, proudly built by Arbor Lee, nestled in the Wall Center, which is locally owned. Vancouver proud. Sheraton Vancouver Wall Center has been a downtown landmark for over 30 years, and your go-to home base in the city, wallcenter.com, for your way to stay. More Whitecaps news as we get onto the pitch is they make official the acquisition of Senegalese international forward Cheikh Sabali from League One in France. As we know, Jeff, they've had some ins and outs here in the offseason. Here's one of the ins. So prolific for them after relegation to Ligue 2 a year ago. Struggled more in Ligue 1, though. A goal in 6 appearances for Senegal over his time. He scored against England in a friendly last year. I mean, Jeff, there's not many Whitecaps in Whitecaps history that have ever scored versus England. So that's encouraging. I mean, it's something to get excited about a little bit amidst a middling year here.
If we go back to the previous graphic, though, 130 pounds? 130 pounds? Like, I've got some weight that I could lend him.
It's funny we don't talk about that in soccer, right? In every other sport, we're like, oh, it needs to add on a few lbs. We don't even consider that really in soccer. Like, nobody was ever looking at Ali Ahmed going, he needs to bulk up, though.
That is true.
It works.
But when I see it in print like that, 130 pounds, my goodness.
That's not much, no. Staying with soccer, pretty cool night in Langley last night. I mean, really cool night. Over 6,000 fans on hand to watch a very improved Vancouver FC take on defending CONCACAF champions Cruz Azul from Mexico. And all in all, they can hold their heads high. I mean, they lost 3-0, but despite losing the possession battle, they had 12 shots. They had 4 of them on goal. May have been robbed of a penalty, too, depending on your vantage point. A 50-50 call that went against them after VAR. It's a big step forward, though, for the CPL squad. They've not been very good in their history, and Marty Nash had them playing with a more structured system last night. And Jeff, that's just that's a good story. Again, amidst all of this turmoil with Whitecaps FC, Vancouver FC might be able to steal some headlines here.
No, I think, as you said, like, sure, you would have loved a better result, but that's stepping up a bunch of weight classes and to put in a competitive effort. Good on them. Good on Marty Nash. You had me at structure. That's been a word that's been missing in these parts for a little too long here. Other sport, obviously, but good on them. And I saw on social last night, like, people had a good time. And ultimately, it is the entertainment business. And so early February to have that sort of stage and that sort of stature of an opponent coming through, cool story. Good on them.
And we saw what that looked like too, Jeff. We made reference to this BC Place drama and the Whitecaps needing a place in May to play their Canadian Championship games. I mean, I'm fine with that. Like, I know that, the Whitecaps aren't going to make much money on that, selling 6,000 seats, but it's a cool atmosphere, nice and intimate. I mean, it's actually going to look better, I think, than what we've seen for the Can Champ games at BC Place, where there's 11, 12,000 in a lot of cases for the early round games of the Canadian Championship inside of a cavernous BC Place. I don't mind that, actually.
Do you know, is there any way to expand that footprint at all? Or is that as big as it gets?
Of course, the answer is yes, but it's cost, right? So it's if you want to invest in that I think back to a Wrexham episode where they're trying to add on seats to their stadium, and Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney, you're like, oh, twisted in the wind. They're like, yeah, but how much money does it cost? Do we actually end up even ahead here? So who knows? The answer is yes. Of course, it's possible, but whether or not it makes any financial sense, we don't know. Some Olympic news as we get underway. News yesterday of Subway sandwiches. Mark McMorris crashing out during big air training. The legend already has near-death crash in the backcountry back in 2017. Came back from that, but looks like he escaped serious injury this time. And he's not going to compete in big air, but he's still hoping to stick around and compete in slope style, which is the full hill, do whatever you can on the terrain provided event. Scary stuff, though, because that he's just he's put together with duct tape as it is, Jeff, and that would have been terrible to lose him.
Yeah, he and Lindsey Vonn can share some duct tape. This is sort of becoming the banged up legends still giving it a go. Right. I hope. I mean, that's obviously highly disappointing for him and for Canada that he's going to have to skip the early event, but hopefully that it is a minor setback and that he's still able to compete and show well. But not the way that you want your Olympic experience. And I know he's had others, but not the way you want to kick off the Milano games here for McMorris. So fingers crossed for him that he will be all right as time marches on.
And Lindsey Vonn actually just posted a video of herself doing squats with no ACL and doing these little stutter steps. I mean, have you ever had a terrible knee injury? It seems like half the population has. Have you ever torn up your knee?
I had my meniscus scoped like 12 years ago, and that was relatively minor then and is not caused, but haven't had reconstructive surgery in any way. But I just sit here and marvel. Even if she had a full bill of health, I would marvel that the fact that she's back and competing in the Olympic Games, but to do it with essentially, and I thought I had read that she had both knees replaced. So I don't even know how much ligament you've got in, knee replaced knees, whatever the case. Just fascinated by this story and ultimately want to see it through to completion.
I do wonder, and people kept on saying, okay, she's got titanium knees. Like, is there ever a point, like if she does well, where somebody says that's unfair, that the titanium knees gives her an advantage? I've never seen that uttered, and I have no idea if that how crazy an assertion that is. But I wonder if it gets to that point, if she ends up still performing well here, that somehow the titanium knees gave her an advantage. To me, it just sounds like they're super tough. But you're right. It's a great story. There is an Olympic scandal already, Jeff. I don't know if I've got teenage daughters. You've got, she's still in her teens, your daughter, or is she in her 20s now? She's 20s, right?
Yeah.
But she's young enough. She knows who Tate McRae is.
Oh,
Tate
yeah.
McRae.
No, I saw this yesterday. Yeah.
We may have to extradite her. The Canadian pop star is doing U.S. commercials for the U.S. Olympic team. What are we doing here? What are we even doing here? This is the one time where you put the flag on your chest and you wear it proudly. What is she doing?
I don't know. And then I saw she took to IG afterwards and said, "Oh, don't worry about it. I'm a Canadian." But it is an odd request to begin with, and odd that she there are dividing lines here. These are the Olympics we're talking about, so. It's strange. It was a little surprising, and I don't know. Is she still with Jack Hughes? Do we know? I don't get too deep into.
I haven't asked the kids lately, but that certainly has been a thing. But Poll question from Wednesday, almost 1,200 votes. And this is one of those days, Jeff, where we are talking about a handful of hanging chads, if you will, for the dividing line. Our question, do any of the Canucks veterans with term, i.e. Garland, Besser, DeBrusque, O'Connor, EP40, actually get traded before the March 6th trade deadline? Again, UFAs, that's standard issue, boilerplate stuff. You trade your UFAs. And if they don't do that, my goodness. But the other guys, do they make a bigger move? That's what we wanted to ask. Holy crap. I'm not going to ask you what the results were because it is too close. 49.5% yes. Wow. 50.5% no. It was that close. And that was sort of why I thought of asking the question here, Jeff. I think there's enough reason to doubt this management group and wonder what their thinking is.
I'm shocked. I thought that the no's would have carried the day by a considerable margin. I think this management group has lost the benefit of the doubt here. Now, there is still time, so we'll see what happens on the other side of the roster freeze here. 4 games now for the Canucks before that March 6th trade deadline, but I am surprised that it's neck and neck, that there is enough out there in the electorate that believes that, there's going to be a veteran or two with term that's on the move here before the deadline. I would have voted no if I didn't cast a vote in that poll, but I certainly side with the no's. So, I'm waiting to be pleasantly surprised, I suppose, is how I kind of view it here. But I don't have high expectations, so I'm surprised it was basically a coin toss.
Yeah, I agree. Until they've shown me that intestinal fortitude, I'm tempted to vote no as well. And I like that you called it the electorate. We're very formal here. This is scientific, and your vote matters. Make sure you register to vote. E's and O's for today, or for yesterday's show. This is unbelievable, folks. Now, people should know my process. Matt's process is very similar. This is an ad-lib show. We do not script it per se. We have notes that we may read from time to time just to keep our structure. Structure, there's that word again. This is not a Bruce Boudreau style of offense that we're running here on the show. And I write a few notes, a few points in the show, again, just to keep us on the rails a little bit here, Jeff. And one of those moments is right off the top of the show. If you trip and stumble off the top of the show, it's not a great way to welcome people into the show every day. So, I might write down sort of the first couple of words to begin every show. Updating the date, for instance. All week long, Jeff, I had updated the date. I got the number. I got the month. All correct.
Just one problem.
I forgot to update the day of the week, and it turns out that today, Thursday, is the first time all week long I haven't said that the show was on a Monday.
Now, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt here because it was Groundhog Day the other day, right? So every day is just sort of
fits.
The same. Of all the weeks to do it. Now, you got it right on Monday, so you get credit for that. I remember in passing on Tuesday as you opened the show, and I was sitting there and I was like, what? No. And then it kind of slipped my mind. So usually we jot down afterwards, was there an error or an omission? It slipped my mind. And then I didn't catch it on Wednesday. I'll admit that I don't know if I had zoned out, whatever. I wasn't ready for the start of the show. But I did note it on Tuesday. I just forgot to make note of it. But all is forgiven. It's Thursday, and we're headed. And we don't have to worry about it on Friday, right? So you're off the hook there.
No show tomorrow. Yeah.
So,
but rightly so for you zoning out. I think you can rightly take it for granted that I would get that correct in the opening moments of the show. So I don't blame you for not picking up on it. But anyway, that is an all-timer. And I wear it. I almost wear it proudly. It was so bad. So that's it for errors and omissions. We got a big weekend of sports. We can't wait to talk to you on Monday. Jeff, thank you for your work here all week long. And bon voyage to you as you take a few well-earned days off next week. But you're going to miss out on a really fun week because on Monday, we've got our Super Bowl wrap-up to talk about how the Seahawks did. The first full weekend of Olympic action, albeit not on the ice for the men's side, but we'll have some women's results to talk about as well. And then we'll be leading you up into the men's hockey tournament as well. So Monday's a big show. Make sure you tune in for that. Again, thank you for this, Jeff. It's been a pleasure all week long. And we'll talk next week, everybody. Make sure you keep it right here and support all those fabulous local merchants that make this fabulous show go off without a hitch, albeit with the wrong day of the week periodically. Keep it local, everybody.